Hello, everybody. How are you? Happy Friday. We have made it through week 1. It feels like forever since I've seen you guys. I miss you all so much. I hope you're enjoying this Friday, though. Pizza night in my house tonight. Yum. So, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves started with our next chapter. And we are now, if you remember where we left off, we are now going to start the month of December. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and jump on in together, and we'll start with Peter. Last month, Mr. T told us we had to read some stupid book and go spend some time with the retards. That was what I thought at first, anyways. That is what I had always actually thought. The collaborative classroom was where the retards went to school. I guess it was James who made me change my mind. I mean, the Summer of the Swans was okay, sort of, but the collaborative classroom wasn't what I thought it would be at all. The kids were actually pretty cool, especially James. If something spilled on the floor or if there was a bunch of objects spread out on the table, he could tell you how many there were just by looking at them. I mean, he could tell you immediately, like no counting required. No matter how many there were, 312 forks or 813 Legos, he always got it right. And James was kind of cool to hang out with. He gave me low fives, not high fives, because eye contact was tough for him. And we played games. I liked going to see him. So I liked Mr. T's next idea. He never ran out of ideas. Okay, guys, here's the deal, he told us in December. We're going to have a holiday party like every other class, but it's going to be different. Of course, I blurted out. That's no surprise. I do that sometimes. I open my mouth before thinking. A lot of times, actually. Everybody, even Mr. T, cracked a smile because I was right. You'll form small groups and work to create a center focused on a certain holiday. It might be Christmas, Ramadan, Kwanzaa, or Hanukkah. Mr. T kept going with the directions, but I didn't catch most of it. I was thinking. Then I did that blurred out thing again. Mr. T, can we invite James and his friends to our party? Everyone was quiet and looked at me. Then Jessica said, "That's a great idea." And the rest of the class agreed. Mr. T had his smile stretched across his face. He just nodded. And I thought I saw him wipe at his eyes. I don't know why he did that though. Our next chapter, Jessica. Act 4, Scene 1. I chose Ramadan as my holiday. I wanted to research something that I knew very little about. I ended up in a group with Anna, Danielle, Jeffrey, and Alexa. Alexa wanted to be with Katie, Wendy, Natalie, and Heather, but Mr. Terupt didn't go for that. It was as if he was looking for trouble, he got it. Our task was clear. When Mr. Terupt announced the project, he said, "Your centers need to include a research component, a game, an arts and craft activity, and food. Your center will need to operate all by itself because you'll be visiting the other centers when people come to visit yours." My group started talking about who would do what, but Alexa didn't let that go on too long. Like, you need to do the research, Jessica, because, you're the smartest. Anna's too stupid to read all that stuff. Anna stared at the floor. She used to do that a lot, but not as much these days. It wasn't just her head that went down that time. Her entire body sagged after Lexi's nasty comment. Alexa looked at Jeffrey next, but she didn't have the nerve to say anything. Then she smiled at me and Danielle. She got nothing in return from me, but I could see Danielle half smiling. Jeffrey and I collaborated on the research while Anna and Danielle were in charge of designing the arts and craft activity. I wanted to work with Jeffrey. I had shared my secret with him, and he needed another chance to share his with me. Anna and Danielle had done fine together with the plants, so I knew they'd work fine this time. Plus, I hoped Danielle would become friends with Anna despite her grandmother's warnings. Lexi named herself as our group manager. According to her, she was responsible for overseeing all of our work. Or as she puts it, I'll just watch and I'll make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. I'll be our manager. I think she meant boss. We went along with Lexi's grand plan because it was easier to have her not involved in our tasks. But that wasn't good enough for Lexi. No, she tried her best to get everyone mad at each other. That's what she was all about. Act 4, Scene 2. One day during project time, I was meeting with Jeffrey and Anna discussing how to put our center together. Danielle was nearby organizing the arts and crafts materials that she and Anna had been working tirelessly to create. Then, Lexi made her move. Don't you guys think that Danielle should, be in charge of the food? Lexi said it not loud enough for Danielle to hear. I braced myself for what would come next. Just look at her. She's so fat. She must be really good with food. Danielle hurried out of the room. None of us said or did anything. It was as if we thought pretending nothing had happened would make everything better. It didn't. My turn to be hurt came next. Alexa didn't spare me. Act 4, Scene 3.
I pronounced that didn't, but I'm always working on how I say things and I might not have it right.
That was so funny. We'll keep reading. Jeffrey and I decided that making a trivia game about Ramadan was the perfect way for people to learn about our holiday and what we had researched. It looked and took tons of work. We had just finished writing all of our research and questions on the trivia cards. Enter Lexi. She must have come from the bathroom. She wore fresh, shiny lip gloss and chewed on a new piece of gum. She paraded over to us an exaggerated hip motion in her jean skirt and zebra tights, bent down, and grabbed some of the trivia cards. She looked them over, but I don't really think she read any of them. She snapped her gum, and that she wasn't supposed to have. No one's gonna understand these questions, she stared at me. No one ever understands you, not with all of your stuck-up words. You just want to make everyone else feel stupid. You think you're so smart. She flicked the card at me. That wasn't true. I didn't try to do that. Act 4, Scene 4. Enter Terupt. Lexi. I looked up. I didn't even know he was there. Lexi didn't either. She spun around, alarmed. I think it's time for you to follow me. He escorted her out of the room. They were gone for a while. Act 4, Scene 5. Enter Mr. Terupt without Lexi. Where was she? I need to talk to the 4 of you now, he said, looking at Jeffrey, Danielle, Anna, and me. We sat down in our project area. I've watched Lexi be unpleasant to all of you. I hoped that one of you was going to stand up to her and tell her to stop, but you didn't. I looked down. I knew I should have done something. I wasn't strong like the friends in my book. If you let people get away with being mean, they're going to keep being mean. You need to stick up for each other. Even Lexi isn't tough enough to make fun of you, not all 4 of you, if you stick together. I could feel Mr. Terupt's eyes on me. He leaned forward, trying to peer up into my face. He tried to make eye contact with each of us. We all stared at the floor. You should be disappointed, he said. You should stand by each other. That's what being friends is all about. Still, we sat quiet. Anna wiped her eyes, so did Danielle. Don't sit and pout, Mr. Terupt said. That won't help anything. You need to keep working. Learn from this, and don't make the same mistake again. Exit Terupt. Act 4, Scene 6. What was Jeffrey thinking? I wondered. How were Danielle and Anna feeling? I'm never talking to Lexi again, Danielle said. Me neither, Anna added. That's no better, I said. We don't have to be friends with her, but we can't just shut her out. We have to be bigger people. I looked down again. I felt as disappointed in myself as Mr. Terupt did in all of us. I wasn't brave enough. Luke. Our bathroom is positioned directly across the hall from our classroom. Who cares, right? I never thought anything of it until the day I felt trapped out there. I saw the shakedown, dollar word, and all compliments of Peter. I was in the classroom working on my holiday center. All my materials were spread out on the floor, and I was busy calculating the proper dimensions for my game board. Mr. Terupt was on the other side of the room, checking in with a different group. I didn't notice Peter. I stretched out on my belly and worked the math. The soles of my sneaks pointed up, a great invitation for a mess around from Peter. I never felt a thing. He's definitely sneaky. I sometimes wonder what the likelihood, dollar word, that Peter will grow up to be a famous thief. I had no clue anything was happening until I heard the giggling and Peter said, "Hey Luke, what kind of sneaks are those? Elmer's?" I popped my head up. "What are you talking about?" "Better be careful. If you try going anywhere in those, you might get stuck." I looked back at my feet. Mess around Peter had struck. The bottoms of my sneakers were completely covered in Elmer's glue. "You jerk," I said, without any real authority. Truth is, I didn't really care. I wasn't worth getting upset over. Besides, I'm sort of used to Peter's antics. I thought they were always harmless. I untied my shoes and placed them next to me, bottoms up of course, until I finished my math. Peter's victory celebration was cut short by my easy solution. Maybe I don't get upset with Peter because I know I'll always outwit him. This drives him nuts, and I love it. Once I finished my calculations, I grabbed my sneakers and headed to the bathroom. Mr. Terupt was still busy with a different group, so he didn't see any of Peter's shenanigans or me leaving the classroom. I held my shoes under the sink and washed off the glue. Then I wiped the soles dry with a paper towel and put my sneakers back on. I pushed the bathroom door open and quickly jumped back inside. I was trapped. Mr. Terupt was having a conference with someone out in the hall. I pushed the door open just a crack to see who it was. "You've done it your way," he said. Mr. Terupt had his back to me. He was leaning forward, talking to the person against the wall. "Now, you'll do it my way." He straightened up and folded his arms. He meant business. And that was when I saw who it was. Black and purple streaks covered her cheeks, a combination of makeup and tears. Lexi was crying. I've never seen or heard of Lexi crying before. "I like you, Lexi. I want some of your classmates to like you too. I'm trying to help you. I want you to be friendlier, $1. And I won't tolerate your meanness anymore." Wow, was this really going to work? "Go into the bathroom and wash your face. Come back when you're ready. Is there anything you want to say before I go back in?" Lexi stormed past Mr. Terupt without even looking at him and without saying a word. Mr. Terupt let out a big sigh and shook his head. Then he walked back into the classroom. I wonder what he was thinking. I decided not to say anything about my sneakers. It didn't really seem important. Mr. Terupt had made serious matters on his plate, like discipline, $1. I waited a few minutes before following Mr. Terupt into the classroom. I didn't want it to seem obvious that I had been eavesdropping, but I was eager to tell somebody about what I had just seen. That's why I think I walked into the classroom a little rushed and wasn't really paying attention. Even if I have been, it probably would have happened. I barely walked through the door before I stepped in a puddle of water. My feet went up and my arms flew out, and I flailed like an ostrich trying to catch its balance. Hi, Sammy. Somehow I managed to stay upright after sliding across the linoleum floor to the carpet. Mr. Terupt was having a serious conversation with Jessica, Danielle, Jeffrey, and Anna, and so he didn't see any of this. But Peter, Ben, Nick, and some of the other guys rolled around in hysterics. I knew what they had done, or should I say I knew what Peter had done. He likes to put his thumb over the opening of the drinking fountain, $1, and push the button. It's another one of his infamous stunts. That's how the puddle miraculously appeared on the floor. Whether Peter meant to have water on the floor or if it just ended up there after he sprayed someone else, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. I didn't have time to do anything about it because someone else came through the door just after me. She must have been making her rounds going from class to class just to visit for a few minutes. Today was her unlucky day. Mrs. Williams took one step into the classroom and hit the water. I felt sorry for her. She was wearing a navy blue suit, a jacket and a skirt with high heels. She wasn't able to keep her balance. Her foot shot out one way and slid out as soon as it touched the puddle. I thought she was going to do a split, but the other foot touched the water and slid forward. Mrs. Williams fell backward and her arms grabbing empty air. She landed smack on her back, right in the water, with her legs stuck up in the air. That was when I saw my principal's underwear. I couldn't believe it. I knew I shouldn't keep staring, but I couldn't look away. We gawked at her multicolored flowered underwear. And that's not the best of it, or the worst of it, if you're Mrs. Williams. Her underwear was a bit discombobulated. In other words, she had a wedgie. It was unbelievable. I'll never forget it as long as I live. I swear it. It was the day I saw my principal's underwear and more. Mr. Terupt rushed over to help her. The rest of us fought to keep from laughing. It was our principal, after all. Even Peter wasn't snickering. He actually looked nervous. Mrs. Williams, are you okay? Mr. Terupt said, helping her to her feet. Peter, go get some paper towels to wipe up the water. Why did he pick Peter? Because he knew Peter's antics led to the water being on the floor? I'm sure it was his way of letting Peter know that he knew. I'm okay, Mrs. Williams said, brushing herself off and smoothing out her clothes. Sorry for the interruption. She turned and left. Oh, how embarrassing. As soon as the door closed behind her, the laughter and whispers started. Clearly this can't happen again, Mr. Terupt said. We're lucky Mrs. Williams didn't get hurt, or that someone else didn't either. I expect we won't have pooled water on the floor like that again. Mr. Terupt looked directly at Peter after saying this. Yep, he knew. He shook his head, then walked over to his desk. I thought for sure this event would be unequaled, dollar word, by any other for the rest of the year. Little did I know that something much bigger was coming our way. Lexi. Teach was like, Lexi, I think it's time for you to follow me. I went into the hall with him. He closed the door behind us. Teachers had done stuff like this before with me. It was like no big deal. I didn't even give Teach a chance. They're being so mean to me, I blurted out. They don't even let me do anything. Jessica thinks like she's the boss. But this is where Teach was different again. Wrong, he said. Stop. But he put both hands up. Just stop, he said. I was quiet. He looked right at me. You're lying, and I don't like liars, he said. You're being mean, and I don't like mean people. I felt the tears coming. I didn't want to cry, like not for real. I squeezed my teeth together and scrunched my eyes. I held my purse hard with both hands. You're acting like the meanest girl I've ever seen, he said. I couldn't help it. The tears came. I was like really upset. I looked down at the floor. And I'm not being unreasonable, Lexi, he said. I was like, yes, you are. But I didn't say anything. I'm telling you the truth, and sometimes the truth can hurt. I kept my head down. I pulled a tissue from my purse and wiped my eyes. He was being a bully. I know you're not mean deep down inside, Teach went on, so stop acting like you are. Miss Kelsey has told me some amazing things about you in her room. He didn't get it. Nobody was going to be my friend. I know because that's how it was before. Kids made fun of me because of my clothes, because of how I talked. Leopard Lexi and Lexi like, they called me. And then one day in 3rd grade, I attacked back. I yelled at a girl like mom and dad yell at each other. And after that, no one wanted to be friends with her. It didn't matter that I was the one who said a lie. They ditched her and became my friends instead. Just like that, I became the leader. All of a sudden, I was getting all kinds of attention, unlike at home. Mom was around, but usually upset over Dad because he was never around to worry about me. And then last year, she hit her limit and she threw my dad out of the house. Mom told me then, Lexi, don't let people push you around like your father did to us. You take charge and you fight back. So there's no way I'm going back to being nice. Nobody's going to make fun of me ever again. I don't remember anything else Mr. Terupt said. I was too mad to listen. I hate you, Mr. Terupt. And that is where we're going to stop today, my friends. Oh my goodness, we're at a juicy part. I cannot wait to continue on with you later on this afternoon. Enjoy your morning, do something new, have fun, and I'll see you guys later on this afternoon. Bye, friends.